After creating the massing component in the project file, you can use these mass elements to create a building component such as floors, walls, and roof in your model. You can also update this building element by changing the mass components. Now first, we are going to set up two different 3D views. One that will show the massing and one that hide the massing elements. So we're going to go to the project browser. Under 3D view, we're going to right mouse and then select duplicate view. It doesn't matter whether you choose duplicate or duplicate with detailing because we don't have any annotation in this 3D view so far. So I'm just going to click on duplicate and then I'm going to rename this view, and then we have to take out these curly braces because those are special character which is not allowed when you create a new view. This is a default system 3D view, that's why it is permitted. So we're going to change this 3D view with mass, and then we're going to double click on this view. And in here we want to show the mass elements, so we go to property, and from here in the visibility graphic override category, select the edit button, or you can hit VV or VG from the keyboard for the keyboard shortcut. And then from here, model category, I scroll down to M for massing, and I'm going to toggle this on and select OK. You can see the massing element inside this 3D view. And if we go to the other 3D view, you will not be able to see this massing element. Now I'm going to close all the other view except for the two 3D view we just set up. And then from the view tab, we're going to select tile views. So we can see both views together. So this one, it doesn't show the massing, and this one does. So we're going to zoom in just to see the mass elements in a similar area. Okay. Now the next step, we're going to use the mass floor to create the floor that we need in this model. We're going to need a 250mm concrete floor. But if we look down in our project browser in the floor style, let's see if we don't have that style in this model right now. So we're just going to use the generic 400, and we're going to modify this to create our 250mm concrete floor. So we're just going to right mouse and duplicate, and then we're going to right mouse and select let me see, actually we're just going to double click on this and it's going to open up the type property, and we're going to rename this to be 250mm concrete and say OK. Now we're going to add the structure of these floor style. We're going to change the thickness to 250, and then we're going to change the material to concrete. So in a field here, we're going to type, okay, we already have this here, concrete, cast in place concrete. So if you cannot find it, you can very quickly type cont in here as the top to filter out the available materials. So I'm just going to say, I'll click on this concrete, cast in place concrete, and select OK. So this will be assigned to this floor style. The material will be cast in place concrete. I'm going to select OK and select OK. Now I have these floor style that I can use for generating the floor slab based on the massing model. So I'm going to toggle back to this view, and then from the massing and site tab, select floor under the model by face panel. So click on this, and then in this massing view, I'm going to just select the level 3 and level 2 floor mass floor because I already have a pad, building pad on the ground level. So I don't need to have another concrete slab at that level. So I'm just going to select, after I finish, I'm going to select create floor. And then you can see that 2 floor slab is created in these 3D views for me already. Now we're going to create some exterior wall with the surface of these massing object. So we're going to go to Masking Inside tab and select Wall. And now from the Property tab, we're going to select the type we're going to use is Exterior EVIS on Metal Stud. We're going to pick on these masking the face of these mask elements, so you can see that when we put our mouse over it, the surface is highlighted in blue. So we click on this, you can see that a wall is created. Now before you do that, make sure the location line is set to Finish Face Interior. Okay, so we go back in here and then you see the highlighted. We click on these surface of the mask elements, and you can see that a wall is created. So we can actually zoom in and out around this one in this view, around the mask element, and pick the surface we want this wall to be generated. So we pick on this face and then pick on this face. And you can also switch a wall type. Now we only want these EVIS or metal set to be on the exterior parameters of this mask object, and on the interior part in facing the courtyard, we want to use a curtain wall system. So we're going to change the wall type to scroll all the way down to curtain wall, and that will be the style that we'll be creating. So again, we go back to Masking Inside. Actually, we're still in pick mode, so we can just zoom in and pick this surface, and you can see that a curtain wall system is created on this surface. And we're going to click on this one. Actually zoom back in here, and in here we're going to pick on this surface, and then we're going to pick the free faces of the pavilion masking object, and then we finish creating the exterior wall based on the mask object. Now we're going to look at how to change the mask element and then update the wall component based on the mask element. So make sure you hit modify twice and you finish the create wall by face command. So I'm going to put my mouse over the mask element. When I see the tooltips, main building, masking, so I know if I click, I'll be selecting the mask element. So I'm going to hit my left mouse button, select these mask element, and you can see there's a whole bunch of grips. So I'm just going to change the height of these mask element a little bit, so it will be easier for me to align the top of these mask element when I toggle to the elevation view. So I'm going to go to my project browser, and I'm going to go to my south elevation, and in here I'm going to go to visibility graphic override, type VB from the keyboard, and then scroll down. When I see masking, I'm going to toggle it on, and so I apply. Now I can see my masking elements. Now I'm going to toggle to consistent color view so I can see the mask elements. And now I'm going to align the top edge of the mask element with the top of the parapet. So using the align command in the modify tab, use the align tool, so you can type AL as a keyboard shortcut. I'm going to select the parapet datum level and then click on the top of the mask element, and it is locked together. I'm going to lock it down and select modify to get out of this align command. Now I'm going to go back to my other 3D view where I can see the mask element. Now I'm going to highlight the walls in this other view, so I'm going to click on the wall using tab key, chain of walls align. I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to click on this command here in the ribbon panel, update to face. You can see that all the wall dropped down a little bit. If we go back to our south elevation, you can see that the exterior wall are all aligned with the top of the parapet. Now we're going to select the curtain wall. So we're going to put our mouse down, mouse over the edge of the curtain wall. We can use tab, and then we're going to click selecting all these curtain wall. Again, we're going to select update to face, You can see that the curtain wall also matches up nicely with the top of the parapet. So this is one way to use the mask element to adjust the wall as you go when you are modifying the design. Now we're going to create a roof surface based on this masking model. So from the masking and site tab, we're going to select roof, and then in this masking, we're going to click on the top surface, and it's highlighted, and then we're going to select create roof. So roof is created. Now it's going to be on a parapet level, and we want the roof to be lower, so we're going to click on the roof, and we know that the parapet is 1 meter higher than the roof level, so we're just going to type in -1000, and then select apply in the property tab, and then we lower the roof to the right level for this masking study. Now let's do a quick perspective view to see what our masking look like. I'm going to toggle in here. I'm just going to close this view, and I'm going to toggle to my site plan view again. Double click on site, and I'm going to go to the view tab, and then from the 3D view drop down, I'm going to click on the camera. And I'm just going to pick somewhere over here from this corner of the row and then drag it to aim at the building. And then you see this perspective view of the building. So I'm just going to drag the view a little bit wider so I can see the whole building. And I'm going to, from the view toolbar, view control bar, I'm going to set it to be consistent color. And if you want, you can actually toggle on the shadow. I'm just going to close this out of view, and then right mouse, zoom to fit. Now you can see what your masking looks like on the site.